All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second edition of Johnny Davis Live today, part two, with women's world champion Miss Fredia, the Cheetah Gibbs. I do apologize for that. They're doing some work in this area right now, doing a lot of work with the internet and stuff. And I kind of talked to her about that a little bit earlier. I said, wow, this internet's kind of been going in and out on me today. So I hope it works out. But anyway, we're going to take up that conversation. We'll splice these together and we'll have a great time. Fredia, how you doing?
Awesome, Johnny. How about yourself?
Thanks so much for coming back. I really appreciate your time today and everything. We're trying to get all of this stuff worked out. I think the system overall is good, but you can't predict the internet thing. But we were talking a little bit right before you hung up about, about your first fight and your mentality and that. But do you remember the first fight that you got paid for?
Yeah, I do.
Right. Tell me about that feeling. The difference in fighting free and fighting for money.
Yeah. My very first fight that I fought for, again, it was fear. You know what I mean? Because every time, I don't know if anyone knew this here, but my trainers knew this here.
Right.
Prior to going out to every fight to the arena, before walking on the arena, I always vomited. I don't know why.
Oh, really?
I don't know. All my life, even in basketball and track, I have no idea. It was fear.
That was, yeah.
But it was a fear that was being faced.
Okay? Right.
And, and I went on out there, I'll never forget, and I fought. And I remember half of the fight, as opposed to the very first one. I don't recall any of it, you dig? But I remember half of the fight that I fought and got my first paycheck. It's kind of interesting.
Dig a little bit more into that fear thing, right? That, a lot of people are scared, but they don't know how to harness that fear and use it for power. What would be your recommendation for someone who is scared? They know that they're scared, but maybe they think they don't supposed to be scared.
Right. Well, we're champions both in the ring and out the ring. So everything that we learn out the ring, we apply in the ring. Everything we learn in the ring, we apply out the ring. So automatically, to answer your question, fear is just fantasizing an event appearing real. We have to face our fears because in life provides us challenges.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you got to be prepared to face the challenger. That's just the way life is. You did?
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of people have to kind of find that because they think it's something like outside of them that they are scared of. I always say fear can move you, can stop you, or it can move you. So let it move you.
Next level. You face your fear and it'll take you to the next level every time.
Right, no doubt about it. Now, so when you were fighting, did you have a manager or somebody to work with you?
Yeah, I had a whole management team. I had a management team. I had a publicist. I had I had trainer. I had conditioning team, etc. Yep, sure did. I had an agent. We went all the way through. But the great thing about this is what I want to share with the athletes coming up is the fact the athlete needs to understand that the manager is not the boss. The athlete needs to understand that the athlete is the boss. Right. It's time for the athlete to not only remember they're the athlete, but also have that boss mindset. Because ultimately their signature is the one that's on the line. Ultimately, the sponsors are coming to them. Ultimately, they hired the trainer, the publicist, and all those people. That makes them build their team. Right.
No doubt about that. No doubt about it. So having a good manager and someone who believes in you can trust and all that's really important. I want to digress for a moment there because Mr. Gennaro Peculio came back. He has a question for you. He says, was there a turning point in your life in which you remember facing your fears and applying the confidence you learned in martial arts? Was there some transition in there that you can actually remember?
Yeah, I remember my first time I sparred someone outside of my uncle. Okay? And what he had done, he said, come on, let's go. That's one Saturday I thought that we were going to spar. And we didn't. Now, mind you, I was comfortable sparring with him. Right. He took me to Philadelphia to a martial arts school, and I had my gi, and I was sitting down. I saw him go over and talk to the instructor. The next thing I know, and they looked at me. The next thing I know, my uncle does like this here. I go over, he tells me to go and get dressed. Right. And mind you, I was just a yellow belt at the time. Right. But he told me never worry about the yellow belt. It's not about the belt. Right. And I found myself in the process of sparring a black belt. She had a black outfit and a black belt. It was a female. Wow. And I sparred her. But that was a fear that I had because I kind of like started sweating, etc., because it wasn't my uncle.
Right.
So I had to step out of that comfort zone and face my fear of it being someone else. That makes sense.
Ah.
There is where I was able to apply the confidence of having no doubt in the skills that I learned sparring my uncle every Saturday.
Right. And
That
you
makes
think you
sense.
took that? You think that took you through the rest of your career?
Yes, yes, because fear, self confidence is like faith. Faith is having no doubt in God. Am I making sense to you?
Yes. Yes.
So self confidence is having no doubt in the God within you,
Uh huh.
within us. That makes sense.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I learned that early. At least I
Right.
caught that early.
Right. I think that's a great lesson to learn early in your life. I have a lot of different questions. We're going to go different places, but I'm kind of right now. I guess it's been on my mind about race, and a lot of people have been having those kind of conversations. And Johnny Davis Live, real talk, real solutions, right?
Right.
So I want to ask you about: do you think that being an African American woman, back in the day, in the particular, somehow affected the outcome of your career, or maybe held you back in some ways, or maybe were you ever matched accordingly because of your race? I mean, there's a lot of questions in that. I know it's loaded, but what are your feelings?
I feel like, well, I feel like I was pretty fortunate. My grandma always told me that I was favored. So I feel like I was pretty fortunate. As far as race is concerned, I did not really encounter racism until I went to California. Now,
Mm,
mind you, from
mm.
high school to college, and first of all, I want to say my mother's mother is a white Caucasian woman.
Say that again.
My mother's mother is a Caucasian woman.
Your mother's mother's
Mother.
mother.
No, my mother's mother
Oh,
is a Caucasian woman. You did, and my grandpa was the dark skinned man. It was the brother. You
okay.
understand? So we kind of understood those things early. Because there
Mm,
was a bunch of them. That makes sense. The racism, we understood it when we were with our great grandmother and went shopping and all these various different things. The racism that we experienced because they didn't know that we were her great grandkids or her grandkids. You dig? Yeah, it makes sense. Her great grandkids. So
mm.
it happens. But
Well,
guess
you
what?
you you understood it better. Perhaps you had a pretty good take on that. But what about how other people treated you?
Well, let's put it this here way, okay? In the fight world, when I came to California to pursue a career in kickboxing, I feel like myself personally, I went to the Jet Center, and I trained with those guys, which was truly a blessing because they literally got all of my fights. But I feel like the opposing team, looked at me during my time. They put black girls in there to get the ass whooped. Just keep
Okay,
it real.
that's real talk.
Just
That's
keep it
what I'm
real.
trying. I'm trying to find out what's up.
Just keeping it real. That was
Okay.
their goal. Just like with Christy Martin. They found black girls for Christy to beat their asses, you know what I mean, and go to the next level. And she
What?
did.
I've had Christy Martin on the show too, by the way.
Okay, okay,
What do you
fine.
think? What do you think about Christy?
Well, I think she's a really cool person. You know what I mean? She paved the way because you always got to have somebody pave the way. She
Mm-hmm.
paved the way. She did her job, and now it's time to go to the next generation
Right.
because with all of us, it's out. We do we pave our way, then it's out with the old and with the new.
Right, right.
You dig?
So doing in the matching process and stuff like that, you felt like they might have been matching you, not only because of maybe whatever skill they thought you had, but also because of the color of your skin, based on the audience that might be attending, and that's what they would buy tickets
Yeah,
for.
yeah, 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 absolutely. And in particular, the Battle of the Masters fight, the night that I fought Valerie Hennon on pay per view. You dig?
Right.
It was clearly obvious that I was the underdog. First of all, when you are a star yourself, which they knew nothing about my background, and
Hmm.
then I come to this world and I see how they're treating me and treating the star, you know what I mean, who's their favorite,
Right.
you know, that's inspiration.
Right.
As I knew I was the underdog. As I was walking, Johnny, and I tell people this because it was really a shock to me.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
one thing to feel it. You understand? To feel that someone is looking at you because of race. You understand?
Mm.
Or the color of your skin.
Right.
But it's another thing to hear it. Am I making sense
Ah.
to you? That makes
Right.
sense?
Yes.
When I was walking out that arena to go and first, yeah, to fight Valerie Henning,
Right.
I heard a voice as loud as day say, "That's the black girl who came here to get knocked out.
Oh.
I was surprised that came out of somebody's mouth.
Oh, you were surprised. Okay.
I really was. I was surprised. And I went and I was focused on going to the arena. It was surprised me, but I heard them. And at that time, it angered me. You
Right.
dig? And that's when I said, tonight, Father, we are going to shock the world. You dig?
And you did.
And yeah, we did. But that was an inspiration for someone to look at me because of the color of my skin rather than my talent. Am I making sense to you?
Right.
And
Right.
the reality is, after I did shock the world and knock Valerie out, because they wanted Valerie to be the face of kickboxing, to bring in kickboxing and UFC and MMA, etc., I wasn't the color to be on the front cover of Black Belt Magazine and Karate Magazine.
Do you actually think that was a real thing?
Absolutely.
That they were actually not putting a lot, because I mean, I think Steve Nasty Anderson might have been on there, who was African American. He might have been on the front. Do you think that was a real thing, that actually a Black Belt Magazine was not putting, and there was a lot of talented African American fighters back in the day. I didn't see a ton of them on that front of that magazine. I will tell you that. But do you think that was a real thing and keeping you off those pages, or at least off the cover?
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. If Valerie would have won that fight, she would have been all over the front cover. It is what it is. And they would not have put me on it if I didn't use my voice as a weapon of change in a respectful way to call them out. I just won the world title on pay-per-view.
Right.
Why am I not on those magazines? Because of the color of my skin. You know,
Right.
and when I called Black Belt out, Karate Magazines out, Inside, all of a sudden, then they all came to me and started, and did feature articles. Yes, they put my name on the front covers, etc. But again, they didn't put me on the front cover.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Right. Right. And you feel
yeah,
like that was simply just because of the times and the fact that they felt that it wouldn't sell or whatever the case might be.
Well, they were wrong. It would have. It's all about their small mindsets or their racist
I agree.
mindset. When you have that racist mindset, you dig, everything is taught.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You understand?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right on that. And, it's a shame that I think that I will tell you the same. I kind of felt that way a little bit as well. That when I won my first world title and, from Alvin Prouder, I thought that there was going to be a lot bigger things happen. I didn't quite understand why it wasn't happening the way I thought, but it might have been just the sport wasn't there yet. We didn't have a lot of major press and stuff at the time. And maybe those in charge maybe just didn't care, or they did it for their boys who were hanging right around them. I don't know. You know what I mean? So those are always things that, we can think about. Did you fight outside the country?
Yeah, I did.
How did that go?
I won Germany.
In Germany?
Well, yeah, I fought all around the world.
Okay.
And
tell me a little bit about that journey.
I'm sorry, not just in kickboxing. I mean, karate, jiu-jitsu, judo. Even before I really even got into kickboxing, to be honest with you.
Okay, tell me a little bit about some of the places that you traveled.
Well, geez, I've been around. Well, obviously Germany. Cologne, Germany. I've been to Amsterdam. I did some sparring in Amsterdam. I went to Amsterdam specifically for Lucia Riker. You follow what I'm saying?
Oh, hold on now. Hold on. Did you fight Lucille?
No, Lucia didn't want to fight me. And Lucia didn't want to fight me.
She was bad now. Lucille was bad now.
Yeah, and I respect that. She respected. The reality is, she said that I would be too tough of a fight. They'd have to pay. The only way she stepped in the ring with me is if they paid her a lot of money, because she knew it was going to be a tough fight. And it was going to be a tough fight.
Right. Well, that's what it's all about, right? But Lucille was certainly a good fighter. What do you think about her success later on in becoming a commentary, and she played in a few movies and things like that? Were those some of the things that you were striving for?
Well, those are some of the things that I've actually done. You know what I mean?
Okay, break it down.
When you say break it down, I started the movie Knockout. I don't know if you saw that there. That's the boxing movie.
Right.
And I also start with Will Smith in Boxing Helena. I don't know if you saw that there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I've done several commercials. Packard Bell commercial. I've done a commercial with Sean Kemp.
Wow.
and I got that 6-figure modeling contract with Sebastian International to take off my clothing. So it's all fun. I got an opportunity to meet great people.
Right.
Make
Yeah.
$90,000 a few months. So it's all good.
Right. Well, okay. Well, that's good. Because a lot of us, what the money in fighting itself wasn't all that big, so we had to go out and do other things, and we were hoping that we would make
Right.
that extra money. I want to ask you, kind of turn the gear just a little bit here, and ask you about a fight. Which one of your fights, right, out of all your fights, was the greatest to you, and why? Was it with the Valerie Hennon fight, or was it another fight? The one that you might have learned the most from, whether you won it or lost it.
You know what? The one that really meant the most to me was the one when I fought Yvonne Trevino. Yvonne Trevino, she was really, really good. And what I had done, I actually underestimated her. I was overconfident and underestimated my opponent. Never, ever do that. You did?
Right.
And first round, she hit me, and she was a southpaw, too.
Is this boxing or kickboxing?
No, this is actually kickboxing.
Okay.
She hit me so hard in my temple, I was intoxicated the first round.
I've never heard that.
Literally intoxicated the first round.
Wow.
But she couldn't finish me off. You understand? I saw 3 of her. Johnny.
Did you hit the one in the middle?
I was trying to hit all 3 of them because
oh, that's just crazy.
And finally, I was able to grab all 3 of them and hold on tight to them until the bell rang.
Right.
Then they went ahead and took me back over to the corner. But that was the fight that did it, because what that had taught me is respect your opponent. Never underestimate anyone, because anything can happen.
Right.
You understand me?
Right.
So
that's real talk and everything. So, I mean, you definitely, again, there are times in fights throughout your career, people think that you learn a lot more from winning or losing than winning, or vice versa. But there's some of those fights teach you life lessons that you take on forever and ever and ever. Yep. You've received some honors in your fight career from your hometown. Okay. And I think one was the key to the city.
Yep.
Right? Tell me a little bit about that experience.
When I came, I had gone away for many years. So I was, gone for like 20-something years, came back, decided to stay there for 2 years and, just give a lot of myself, and inspire the kids of generations, speak and things like that. And, the city gave me the proclamation, and it was very nice of them. Appreciate it.
Right. So what do you think that it was like getting such an award in the city that you were raised? How do you think those people that were still there, living there, what do they think of you for accomplishing such a thing? Because there's probably not a lot of people like you that received that. Key to the City is one of the highest awards that you can actually get in the city.
Well, I would hope that they would, appreciate and be proud of me, considering that, I did come from, the rough part of the city, the fairground projects.
Right.
And, utilize me as an inspiration for other children in the future, you dig? And from a female perspective, because, where I grew up as a female, you had a choice. You had a choice to either go to college or get pregnant. You know what I mean? I didn't want to get pregnant by 3 or 4 different guys and have 3 or 4 different kids by 3 or 4 different guys. I didn't want that for my life, my future.
Right.
So I am very thankful and feel very blessed to have, set a goal once a month. There's 12 months. Set a goal once a month and accomplish those short-term goals to lead to the long-term goal.
Right.
That makes sense?
It makes total sense. So when you look at, and we're gonna be talking a little bit more because we want to go into some current events, but I want to find out, with all of the things in your career, you had a good fighting career. You were undefeated as a women's kickboxer, 9-2 record in boxing. I mean, outstanding career as a fighter. None of us made a ton of money. right?
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out, how do you value your career as a fighter? That's part one of that question. How do you value your career today as a fighter and what you got out of it?
When you say that, how do you mean that?
Well, I mean it by, you have some people put it all in. Well, I made $1 million, or I didn't make $1 million, right? Some people maybe put it in. With me as a fighter, I look at, I didn't make the millions of dollars, but I have a lot of equity on the inside, confidence and other things like that, that has given me the attributes or whatever to be able to go out confidently into the world and really feel that I can accomplish anything I want to accomplish. How did that work for you?
Pretty like yourself, it applies the same way, Johnny. Again, it goes from the added mindset. Let's put it this way: there are several different mindsets. When you become a world champion, you have you have leveled up and elevated to a level which is the highest, and that's a
Yeah,
mindset. And
right.
you've come from this mindset, then going to this mindset, then the next mindset, the all with world champion. As a world champion, both in and outside of the ring, that's what I value. I value my mindset. I value my spirit. I value, my body. I value sharing what God has blessed me with. You understand? With other people. Today, I value the fact that my world championship belt is in the sports museum. You know what I mean? And we're still keeping that all alive and keeping the history. I value all this here. I value the fact that, the state of Pennsylvania, the historians are, in the process of working on, unveiling a 6-foot bronze statue in my honor
Now
from,
that's amazing.
from the martial arts, from knocking Valerie Hennon out. I
Right.
value that there, because all this here says a lot of things. It says here was this person
Mhm.
who came from here, and made it up here.
Right.
Now, if they can do it, you can too.
Right.
Make
Right.
sense? It's all
Right.
about mindset
It is.
and making that difference.
Right. So is it you writing a book or someone writing a book about your career and you're telling your story?
Oh, I actually wrote the book back in, I think it was 2016. It's doing great. But right now they're actually doing a documentary on it's actually done, the documentary on my life. They should be launching it, Sideline should be launching it, I don't know, probably next week or whenever. Sure, it should be launching soon.
Right. Very, very, very. So in your book, tell me a little bit about what that book was about when you wrote it, and what motivated you and inspired you to write a book about your life.
It's back to my grandma, man. It was 30 days and I wasn't doing nothing. You understand? And I had all this memorabilia, etc. You dig? And this something just came to my voice, said, look, put this here. Let's do a book. You dig?
Mm,
You know? So
mm.
within that first 30 days, I went ahead and came up with the idea to do a book. The next 30 days, we started putting everything together. The next 30 days, we had, we were working to get the book together. Next thing you know, there's the book. I just wanted to share my life story from my voice.
Right.
You understand? From me.
Right.
Because
Right.
you'll get the truth from me. You
Yes.
understand?
Yes.
Other
Yes.
people think they know you, but, you'll
Not
get
so
the
much.
truth from me. You
Not so
did?
much. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right about that. Well, I have to definitely see, can I pull that and find that as well. And it is, when I think about the fighting career,
Right?
that I had, and I often ask this question to my champion guest, that if you could do it all over again,
Uh-huh.
you could start from square one. Do you think you would become a fighter?
Yeah, I do it all over again.
You'll do it all over again.
Yeah.
Would you recommend a fighting career to a young person today, a career? And or if you would you prerequisite with getting a good education first?
Yeah. Well, you always got to get a good education. You know what I mean? And that's everywhere we go. You dig? You know, um, if
Yeah.
they want to become a fighter, if that is one of their aspirations and they feel it in their heart and their soul, and perhaps they're even destined to do it, yes, you know. But if they don't want to, I'm not going to try to encourage somebody to do something they don't want to do.
Right.
You
Right,
did?
right. No doubt about that. Okay, all right. So I'm going to change gears here real quick while we got a little bit more time left here. Let's talk a little bit about current events, some of the stuff that's going on. You know, you've had a great career, and that's all good. But I also know that you've kind of been involved with a lot of things that's going on with the Black Lives Matters movement.
Yeah.
You have had your eyes on that. Tell me, why do you think we need a Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, I thought we always had a Black Lives Matter movement. You know, it just wasn't titled Black Lives Matter. You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know, because it goes way back even before Martin Luther King. You follow what I'm saying? You know,
Right.
with all this, you know, it's just the bottom line is it's just time. Like anything else in life, from the 1800s to the 1900s to the 20th century to the 21st century and so on, you know, it's just time for change. It's time for everyone to realize, and most folks do realize this here, but for those who don't or who are being educated differently, because everything is learned, is
Right.
that although America is the richest country in the world, we have to also embrace the richest diversity that we have in America. You
Right.
understand? It
Right.
has to really truly be embraced. It shouldn't be, you know, all the Mexican kids, they got to go back there. You know, all the Africans, you got to have the Black Lives Matter here. You got to have this and the white people here. It shouldn't be that, because we are a diverse world. We have to live together. That makes sense? And work together, whether we like it or not. You understand?
Very much so. I want to entertain the idea about America and is it broken? And
Oh
by
yeah.
the way, Janalo said, "Preach!" Right? Thank you for being on today, Janal. I think about this country right now and the situation, some of the things that are going on, and I wonder. I think about the concept of a contractor. When a contractor goes to build a house, he has to make sure of a couple of things. And one is foundation.
Right.
He has to make sure that the house is on a solid foundation. If
Okay.
it's not on a solid foundation, they know that somewhere along the way, that house will crumble or the foundation will crumble and the house goes down with it. When you talk about the onset of this country and the idea of slavery, in my mind, perhaps that alone was the sand as opposed to the solid foundation. It was sand, had a lot of holes in it,
Right.
weak in places. So we built this country essentially on the enslavement of people.
Right.
So, in that whole idea, wouldn't that make it having a weak foundation and why we're having the problems that we're having today? What is your take on that? What do you think about that?
The only people right now who have the weak foundation are the people of color. You understand? If
Mhm.
that makes any sense.
And why do you say that?
Why I say it, because they have to come together. Together
Mhm.
they're stronger. And they have to come together, you know what I mean, for the goal, for the
Mhm.
purpose of change. Come together to use the voice as a weapon for change. Change for whatever that you want. Because as God says, ask and you shall receive. Right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Seek you shall find, knock the door shut. That's what you got to do.
Mhm.
But more importantly, we have to have a chief of commander who is willing to listen to the people and who is there to truly help the people.
Right.
You did?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that's the
Yeah.
only way you really gonna get that change.
Right. So I think voting is important. Right. Voting is important, all and whatever you are.
Yeah.
And again, we haven't talked politics, so I have no idea what your affiliation is, and it doesn't even matter because again, it's real talk. Whatever you feel on here, you can pretty much say it. But I do want to ask a question about some of the things that have been going on with this Confederate flag. I told you I'll go into a lot of things, right?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, the Confederate flag has been, a big issue lately with Bubba Wallace, and it's been a big issue for a long time for the African American community. And some people really just don't get why that flag bothers people so much. And I want to get your take on a country who had a war, the Civil War, the Union soldiers versus the Confederate soldiers. The Confederates lost, but still we have mounted across this country their statues and their flags, the Confederate flag. What is the mentality of the people who actually won the war to try to hold on to that legacy of slavery and oppression and Confederacy?
Yeah, you already know what the mentality mindset is. You know, you already know what the mindset is, and it's a shame because all this Confederate stuff is basically, memories of slavery.
Right.
You dig?
Right.
In fact, thinking about Confederate flag and this Confederate stuff, when I went back to Pennsylvania, I was living up there near Harrisburg, somewhere in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that my neighbors were Confederate flag people.
Mm.
And I couldn't understand why they were staring at me so like I was, something was wrong, like I had a boogie on me or something. You know? And what happened, but I would always say hello. You dig? I didn't know. And a neighbor, see, here I am in a predominantly white area, and a neighbor of mine, gentleman, saw me one morning walking my dog, and he came out and he raced over to me. Said, hey, he said, listen, I know you're a nice person and everything. He said, but you're new here. He said, they're Confederate flag people. Stay away from them.
Oh.
You understand? He said, they look for trouble. He said, I advise you to stay away from them. And then I never saw him again.
Wow.
It was crazy. So, and then I started feeling a difference from them. You know what I mean? I don't know if it was because I knew. You dig?
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing what he said, stay away from them, because it's best. I mean, they didn't like me because of the color of my skin, despite the fact that I'm a cool person. I don't look at people that way. I just don't look at people because of the color of their skin. I don't even see color. This is what I'm saying. I really don't. I just see people.
Well, when you say, I want to bring that, because a lot of people say that, Fredia. People say, I don't see color.
I don't.
You actually, you can't help unless you're literally colorblind.
I mean, I see it, but I don't see it.
I think, are you saying that
I see it, but
the
I
color
don't
does not affect how you treat them?
Exactly. No,
Okay.
Human being. Prime example. I'll never forget when I was like 16 years old. This is the Fairground Projects. This is the hood. These two white guys came into the project community selling encyclopedias.
Right.
You dig? And it happened that they came to our block first. When I saw them, I was like, yo, what are you doing here? Get out of here right now.
Right.
Not everybody in this community is going to embrace you like we did. Thank God you came to our block first. Get out of here.
Right.
Take your encyclopedias and get out of here so you don't get hurt.
Wow.
They didn't listen. I went back to eating my dinner. After I finished eating dinner, I went on the basketball court. I see a crowd over here. I go and look to see what the crowd is all about. And it's the two guys getting beat up by everybody.
Wow.
I broke it up. Yo, I told you not to go any further.
Right.
Get out of here. You dig? You understand?
I do.
Yeah, so we see more human being. We're not taught to hate white people. See, disliking people of color is something that is taught. We are not taught that way.
Right, right.
You understand?
You're right.
It's not something that we're taught.
Mm-hmm.
You dig?
I'm kind of interested, though, when we talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, and I hear this argument come up, and I know some people I saw a couple of posts where people get upset about when people ask this question, but it's a legitimate question. So this is Johnny Davis Live, Real Talk, Real Solutions.
Okay.
So I bring it out. And the Black Lives Matter movement, Black Lives Matter, people. It does. I think that, and I kind of mentioned on one of my shows, maybe if they just said Black Lives Matter too, maybe that would have been more inclusive. Okay, I get it. But I do want to ask the question that we do, and some people bring this argument up all the time, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. Okay. The fact that, yes, indeed, we have violence in our communities. I know people talk about black on black, and they talk about white on white. They never talk about white on white. They never talk about Asian on Asian. We get it. And we know about the oppression. We know about all the other things that has happened to our people or why we maybe be oppressed and do certain things. But somewhere along the line, we have to take a little bit more responsibility in our own communities.
I agree.
What are
Oppression.
your thoughts on that?
I know. I totally agree with you. You know, we live in America, man. It's like the richest country in the world.
Right.
God bless us all with the same gift. We all got the equal opportunity gift. You follow
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
Equal opportunity gift. Today, I feel like oppression. I feel like everyone can step out of oppression because we got it all in front of us. We got it all here. You dig?
Right.
You just got to have faith and confidence in yourself and circle yourself around the right people.
Right.
We all know world champions think different from amateurs.
Yeah.
You understand?
Right.
We all know teenagers think differently from adults.
Right.
So you got to surround yourself around the right group of people. Surround yourself around people who are going to make you better, who are going to help you accomplish your aspirations and your short-term goals.
Right.
So it's all a choice, I feel.
Right. A lot of a choice. It's a lot of it is about choice. But I certainly think we need to change the behavior in our communities. Yeah. And if black, and then I will argue the point, and people get mad, if Black lives really matter, then stop killing each other so much.
Dude, they killing each other like crazy.
That's just real talk. People like, why you say that? That's not like, listen, I understand. I'm black. Black lives matter. Period. We do. We matter too.
Human lives matter.
You can't keep setting an example in your community, going around spraying up crowds of people, your own people, and then expect for other people to be considerate of that. Right. Of the fact that you're saying, okay, Black lives matter when white people kill me, but it doesn't matter when black people kill each other.
Yeah, that's
not. You gotta have real talk. And I argue, anybody want to come on and talk to me about that? Let's bring it, because there's a two-sided street here. That's where I am. We have to have both conversations, right? We do matter. We have to respect each other, right? And I mean, not just as black people, everybody. But our lives matter. It is true, all lives matter. But Black lives matter too. But we can't keep killing each other like we don't, like it doesn't matter, Fredia.
Yeah, because our people, they killing each other like it don't matter.
That's real.
Get pissed off. But they get pissed off.
Yeah, go ahead, as you were.
Yeah, then our people, they killing each other like crazy, and then they get pissed off when the police kill one of them.
Yeah. So changing gears again, really quick. You mentioned police. That's a good tie-in, and we'll wind it down here shortly. But on the police, you got some people out there who are talking about defunding the police department.
Right.
Now, as though I can understand taking some money and putting it into other community projects, maybe from the police. But if you're trying to tell me that you don't want the police, that might be a whole nother story. If you maybe reform the police, but defunding the police, what are your thoughts on that, Fredia?
And we gotta have the police. I mean, we understand there are really good guys, cops in policing. I know, because I have a few police friends and I've been around them, and et cetera, a lot, and did self-defense. But I just feel like they need to. We gotta have the police for the bad guys. Listen. All the people I saw who have gotten murdered by the police, were people who were no threat. Am I making sense to you?
Right.
These people were no threat. We have to have the police, all the police who are being brutal and violent to people, take your brutality and violence to the violent criminals.
Yeah.
That way you're matching each other. Makes sense?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Violence versus violence. Police brutality versus criminal violence.
Right.
But to just hurt people who have given in and are just in their home, mind their own business, and who's intoxicated in his car, you know what I mean? When all you gotta do is, well, all right, man, go ahead and walk home, or who's jogging, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or, who's trying to get in their car for a ticket. I mean, that's crazy. That's not violent. That's not a threat.
Right.
So basically, that money should go toward, obviously educating the community and helping the community. But yeah, we have to have police. And there
Exactly.
are good cops. But we need these bad cops to go to the bad guys and leave the
Whatever.
good
Right.
guys alone.
Right.
You
No,
know?
and I certainly agree with that. I mean, I don't agree with again, defunding. I think might be the wrong word.
Yeah.
Like I said, maybe the distribution of the money just needs to be a little bit different. Perhaps more going to community efforts and
Yeah.
things like that to help maybe bring jobs and education to the community, because I am sure that will reduce the crime and everything. So that I just wanted to get your opinion. I told you I was going to dig into a lot of areas to get your opinion on some of the things that are going on, because again, we talk about a lot of different things. As we start to wind down here, I want to ask you on a final question.
Yeah.
About Fredia. Had a great career. You have done a lot of things, for the sport, and thank you for that. I certainly appreciate that. You're outspoken right now and doing some good things for the community. I think you got more stuff that you're going to be doing too. You're not that old. Don't be playing.
Oh yeah.
But I want to ask you, and I've heard you kind of you made a statement earlier about your faith indirectly, and I want to ask you about your faith and where and how do you see your faith in bad times and good times, and how do you think your faith, or if you think the faith that we have in society and God or whatever it might be the thing that might help take us to another place where we can have more peace and harmony in our society.
Gotcha. So you're talking about faith, Faith. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So, basically from a young
Who do you
child.
call on in the middle of the night?
What's that? See, faith is very important. It's something that I believe in, something that I've been taught from a very young child. Like I said, everything is taught. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Believing in God, believing in what you don't see, believing in your dreams, your visions, even if you don't see them. And that applies to self-confidence. But I apply it all from the chapter called Ephesians. And that's where God says, wear your whole armor of God. You understand? And as a fighter, I kid you not, psychologically, every time I put on my equipment from a young child, and this is what my grandma and my mom taught me. You understand? How they link Ephesians, wearing your whole armor of God, to me wearing all my martial art protective gear.
Right,
I got my head, you got your headgear, you understand? You got your foot gear, you understand?
Right.
You got your pads, you got your breastplate, you
Right.
understand? You got your belt of righteousness, you understand? You got your sword, you understand? I've always applied, wearing the whole armor of God from wearing my equipment from fighting. You understand?
Right.
And fighting to me has always been very spiritual. So even when I walk out my door, I have on my armor of God. Because there's an old saying, Johnny Davis, and an old master once said this to me. When we walk out our door, we are faced with death. When we walk out our gate, we are surrounded by enemies. Wear your whole armor of God at all times to protect yourself. Spiritually. You dig?
Spiritually. Right.
Because this is what it's all about. Because in the end, our spirit leaves this body and goes on.
Right.
You dig?
Right.
Spiritually.
All right.
So
Okay.
that's how I do it.
I'm gonna be like the other fella, like he said, preach. Fredia, the Cheetah Gibbs, ladies and gentlemen, this has been an honor and talking with you today. Great career and everything. Very smart lady. A lot of good knowledge there, and I think this is somebody you need to check out. You can also find her on her Facebook page, Fredia the Cheetah Gibbs, and to find out more about what's going on with her. Any final thoughts, Fredia, before we leave today?
Yes, to anyone who's looking to fight, or not even fight, anything that you want to do in life, like I said, you got 12 months. You got 12 months, and then every month you got 30 days. Once a month, set a goal for yourself and accomplish it. But more importantly, if someone says it can't be done, smile and then reply. Maybe it can't. but I won't be the one to have said so until I've tried. You got to try and believe in yourself. That's it, champ.
Ha! There you go. You got it. Fredia Gibbs, thanks so much for being on Johnny Davis Live today.
Thank you for having me, Johnny.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Everybody had a good time.
Yes. Talk to you later, Fredia. Thank you so much.
Champ. Bye now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you had it for yourself. Fredia Gibbs there. This lady has done some great things in the world of kickboxing and really even outside of the ring. Hey, I want to thank everybody for watching today. This is going to be a part 2 of the show there. We'll put part 1 there on site there. Mr. Ben, who's that? Mr. Ben Morrison there says, oh, wow. I think he liked Fredia. I think he liked exactly what you had to say there. And Fredia is a very strong, very intelligent lady and we love the information and the spirit and the energy that she brought to the show today. Listen to her. She knows the business. She's been out there. She knows how to train. She knows how to get in shape. She knows how to not only be a champion inside the ring, but also on the outside of the ring. As always, we want to thank our sponsors, Blackout Fights at blackoutfights.com for all they do for us. You can check them out on our website at akpromotions.org and also on their website at blackoutfights.com. Also, Eastern Offset Printing, they're out of Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. All right, guys, that's all we have for you today. I'm getting ready to sign off here and go do some weekend stuff. Once again, always wash those hands. Social distance. Wear that mask. Please, and please, Fort March. This is Johnny Davis Live, and I'm checking out. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.